What could be more important than understanding why we believe what we believe? For whatever reason, it has fell on me to articulate the mindset of previous generations. Basically, we have two belief systems. You either believe that God created the universe, or you believe what you are told and shown by experts. And it is hard to go against what is being presented as facts in universities, even though they have no evidence to support ideas such as evolution. Evidence concludes that it is impossible for evolution to have begun. There is no premise to this idea of evolution. Therefore, it could not have occurred as it is being presented to us. But if you go to a university to study chemistry or biology, you will be told on the first day of class that evolution happened. Or if you're studying physics, then the first day of class you will be told at the beginning that the Big Bang happened. And you will go into your studies, and after 6 years of not being able to question the authority of the statement of something happened, you will come out with a degree and the knowledge of all based on this thing that you were told to believe without evidence. And if you were to look into that, you would find out that evidence suggests that it is impossible for these things to have occurred. The incredible machinery we find in so-called simple cells, without which those cells would have no real function, would not be able to survive at all, and would not ever even exist. There is no way, it's not possible for a cell to have just formed out of the earth on its own. And regardless of that fact, the real fact, we have been told for generations that evolution just happened and the Big Bang just happened, and we had better believe or else suffer the consequences of being shunned by educated society. When I was a kid, before I ever entered kindergarten, I remember watching Sesame Street one day, and I'd been watching it for a few months, watching them put words together on the screen for me, sounding out each syllable. And then one day it snapped in my head, I know how to read. And so I grabbed a little kid's book and I read through that whole book in about a minute, and I tossed it to the side. And then I grabbed a novel, which was meaningless to me. It was just a bunch of garbage, but it had higher level words, so I read it about 5 pages and tossed it to the side. And then I went to the World Book Encyclopedia, 1972 edition that we had, and I started to read, and I could read every word. I could pronounce it correctly. Everything came into place. If I didn't understand a word, I could just look it up in a dictionary or in another part of the encyclopedia. And I began my journey of developing my base of knowledge. I believed everything I read in that book, in those books, but I believed because no one refuted that those books were books of knowledge. They were, to me, the ultimate source of knowledge. And so I read through them and believed everything. And then one day, and I'm not sure how long it took, but one day I came to the section on dinosaurs. And the first thing that caught my attention, of course, was this artist's depiction of all of these huge dinosaurs, and ferocious and humongous, and it was a fantasy. It sparked my imagination. It was definitely a fantasy in my mind. And I began to read and believing that those dinosaurs exist because of fossil records and all of these things that I'm reading about. And so I believe in evolution. I believe everything. And then I talked to my mom about it, and she's frustrated because she doesn't know how to refute my new belief. Because she could not refute my new belief, I just assumed that she wasn't as smart as me, and so I must just continue on for a while. And I did continue on for a while, thinking I was just smarter than everybody else. And then later on I received an alternative ideology, an alternative belief system that made a whole lot more sense to me. You either believe in God or you believe whatever you're told and shown. Simple as that. You don't believe in God. You think that we are just a speck in endless, vast space, and there's no meaning to our lives. And so the only place we can find meaning is in these fantasies, such as dinosaurs evolving from the dirt or something. And we seek out these fantasies. We live in fantasies. We live in our imaginations. We have a whole generation that imagines that there is a white supremacist oppression of everyone who is not white in the world today. And it's totally absurd, and anyone who is in a previous generation that has any sense understands that it is absurd to believe in that. But how do you argue against that? That's what they believe. They're not going to be told anything else. They're not going to believe anything else. They've been taught that without question, without anyone else offering a different point of view for their entire lives. This mindset of meaninglessness has been done to us on purpose so that we would believe whatever we are told and shown. If we don't believe in God, we're going to believe anything else. This fantasy that is presented in, say, the Handmaid's Tale, that white males are oppressing everyone else and no one else can live their lives because of white men. It just doesn't exist in reality, but it exists in the imaginations of millions of people, possibly billions of people. It is absurd, it is ridiculous, but people believe in it. They want to be the hero that saves the day at the end of the fantasy. They want to go out and burn down buildings and destroy everything because it's a fantasy. They become fanatical about it. You see, they don't understand the basic things that people have understood for many, many, many generations now. Carl Sagan, those type people who had statements that evolution was a scientific fact. And that's a bold-faced lie. He knows it, or he should know it. He had a degree in astrobiology, which is the study of nothing, because no biology has been found in space, even as today. And we're supposed to believe this expert because he has a sciencey voice. We're supposed to believe Leonard Nimoy, who was Spock, played Spock in Star Trek, but about global cooling. When I was a kid, I saw this documentary about global cooling, how they took ice core samples and they dated them to a certain period of time and talked about how the world was going to become colder and we needed to do something about it. And it all sounded sciencey, like these people were doing real scientific research, and it was all a lie. And then we have Al Gore with his presentation of global warming, and it sounds scientific, but it's all a lie. And now we have climate change, so it could go either way, global cooling or global warming. They don't know. It's just they know it's going to change, and they're going to blame man for it and tax us to death for it. That's what it's all about. Enslavement of the human race. But we have billions of people that believe in this climate change, and it's just being repeated over and over and over and over and over again. Why aren't people waking up to the fact that these things don't exist? Racism don't exist. Empathy, as they define it, does not exist. Climate change, man-made climate change. Where's your evidence of it? Where is your evidence of it? Show me the evidence. You keep saying these things over and over and over again. For racism, you'll pick out a clip and it never seems to match up. It never matches up to reality. You pick out this situation, you put a microscope on it, you take away all of the criminal background of somebody that's being arrested or somebody that pulls a knife out and gets shot, and you edit out the part where he pulls out the knife. You do all of these things, and you expect me to believe what you're saying? You expect me to believe what you're telling me just because you are the chosen authority? I don't believe any of it. I'm going to present what I do believe and about evolution and possibly about the Big Bang. It gets a little deep when you talk about the Big Bang, but It's not hard to understand either way. These things are just stated and expected for us to believe, for us to consume, for us to take in. It's like we're so used to watching movies and suspending our disbelief of the movie. Say it's a science fiction movie, right? And this starship is traveling through space at warp 5 times the speed of light. Totally impossible. But we suspend our disbelief so that we can enjoy the movie. While we do that, we are suspending our belief in our own reality, our own real lives. We are escaping to this fantasy world and escaping into that and out of our own real world. And then when we see news, which is supposed to be reality of our own real world, we believe that. We suspend our disbelief of anything that we are told and shown. And that's what's happened to society. That's why we have a whole generation of people that just believe anything. And they'll do anything. They want to be the hero of the movie. They'll burn down cities. They'll destroy. They'll cuss you out. They'll fight you on the street. And the drug problem, that's another problem. You know, all of these situations are being done in orchestra to create the current situation. And the current situation, like a normal person would be looking around and saying, well, this all seems crazy, like it's, how could it possibly be orchestrated? It looks like it's orchestrated, but how could it possibly be orchestrated? Because it seems far-fetched, like it's a movie. That's because all of these players in the orchestra are playing their parts. It is to them an act. It is to us reality if we believe it. And all we have to do is say, well, racism doesn't exist, so all of this crap is gone. Empathy doesn't exist, so you can push that to the side. Evolution is a lie. The Big Bang is a lie. And finally, after we clear out all of the lies, we can finally see reality.